Hey, so I just wanted to come on, and I suppose I know my content is very niche. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. I suppose I try and give a perspective of the reality of the emotional reaction that the majority have felt in watching this pain and divide as this family in front of our eyes became sitting duck to this attack, and how every sofa we watched his wife by his side, and how she's no longer there because she's mingling in the Hamptons with that title so entitled, as he faces the wrath, and rightly so. Also, however, you were meant to be a team, but that same team we used to watch William and Harry, this duo, this equal, because a title didn't matter for these boys. We watched them walk behind that coffin that day, up that mall, and we grieved alongside with them as they said goodbye to their mom. A duo. The people didn't want to feel this way. We never expected to watch Harry come out and cause so much divide with his wife by his side, the puppet master in these games, as he so entitled, this prince who never got told no, was hell-bent to convince, to gaslight the world as he invited us in, as he signed the contracts to bring his family down, to speak out these words which could never be taken back. As slowly every word he spoke built an army of the woke to come along to try and attack his family. So bespoke, you know. I never expected to be this kind of royalist who acknowledged my monarchy in that moment and thought, I want this family, this head of the table in my life, in my country. There'd always been a backdrop. But to watch this attack from someone who knew, and I mean Prince Harry, he understood the traditions that followed. He understood this never complain and never explain. He knew they could never reply to his games. But he continued anyway. The power balance in how he took their power and used it against them, which speaks to me of abuse, in how he continued to try and confuse the people with his words as we watched him let loose. And we think to ourselves, you were the one who sat in these offices and signed your name, your family away. You knew exactly what you're about to partake in and engage. Surely you knew the media were going to report on what you said about them, because it was always going to end up front page news, but you continued on it anyway, as you destroyed your grand 70+ year reign, as she went to her grave that way and the people watched on. And this is why the people react, for the sadness they see, for that last picture of our queen stood by that fireplace so frail and weak, who we related to, and that could be our gran. We knew in that moment, that picture when it got released, that she didn't have a lot of time, that it was ticking, and how did you not see that? How could you carry on another sofa? But here's the thing. In that moment in time, his wife was sat on every sofa alongside. She was there to release the rockets and drop the bombs. But when the shit hit the fan, she was no longer by his side. And then we found a solo Harry sat on these sofas, trying to bend the curve, trying to dig as fast as he can to try and amend the damage that he had caused, but without actually acknowledging the damage that came from his mouth, the words he had spoke. He tried to direct the blame on everyone else. And I always say, if you can't reflect on yourself, if you can't understand the wrongs that you create, then you'll always stay stuck still. A moment in time, you'll never grow inside. And that's what we see today. This stuck, spoiled, entitled prince set out to convince, to bend the curve, sat on a sofa alone with his wife no longer by his side, his puppet master in these games, as she mingles in the Hamptons with the titles so entitled to the country she will no longer return, the once woman who sat on a sofa next to him but no longer there. You know? And there's a mass confliction with the people. I see in the comments they refer to him as H still. This sort of memory of this shortened down name of this once prince who walked behind the coffin that day, who we watched him and his brother is equal. Because that's what they were. There was no title to separate. They were William and Harry, an extension of their mom. As the people watched them and grieved alongside them, they took two boys into their hearts, and one stepped out and tried to separate and bring them apart. And the people looked on at that one who used this power control, this power dynamic with his wife at that point by his side, and said, no, we don't follow on. We don't follow you because we don't approve. How could you do this to them and us? How could you target and attack and become the leader of this anti-monarchy and expect us to invest in your wife's businesses? This wife with a smile, what is she? Who is she? All I see is a woman who didn't go to her dad's hospital bed when we know he brought her up because the mom wasn't there instead. This mom who was in situ on her wedding day as her dad was kept out the way, and instead in replacement of her family was pew after pew of celebrity, a spectacle she speaks on as the people come to line the streets. The only spectacle I see is the one that you brought to our TVs. As we now watch you, Harry, with a glaze over your eyes as you sort of script it out word after word, questing, slaying the dragons in front of your eyes, when we only see you slaying yourself with no longer a wife by your side because she's in the Hamptons mingling with the millionaires with that title she took from our name. The people didn't want to feel this way. The people never expected to become a royalist in this way, because that's the one thing you've done. You've created a security about the royal family when you placed an attack and divide, and we had to pick either side, and we see your wrongs, we see you're stuck in one place, unable to grow, to take accountability for the damage you placed their way. Your brother, now there, protecting them all from the brother he once looked on so proud and tried to protect, and we heard him in interviews telling the press to leave you alone whilst young. But instead, he's protecting his family from the press because you placed the spotlight on them with every contract you signed, as you tried to cause their demise. As he's watching his wife battle cancer, as the attack so extreme above her name, even knowing she's on chemotherapy. His dad also, as you wanted to conquer and divide, but no longer a wife by your side because she's taken her awards with this smile on her face. And what's it all for? What was it all for? And that's what the people feel as you step out to another sofa and try and gaslight us, as we didn't see it that way. We didn't see you sat on Oprah knowing what it was going to do to them. We didn't see you sat on Netflix as she mock curtsied your gran with such disrespect. As you wrote in books about dog bowls, as you tried to create this narrative of hate against your own family's name. So this isn't the media, Harry. This is your wife who's no longer by your side. This is your inner demons and a therapist that probably didn't work for you, because we still see you stuck in one place, unable to grow, unable to acknowledge the damage you've caused as you try and sling pain to your family. And a once brother we used to watch you come to and fro, you know? So yeah, that's my thoughts, that's my opinions, that's my feelings of watching on as the people still refer to him, H, and a once loved prince has now gone away, followed by a comment of frustration and anger at watching what he's caused. The demise of a prince, a once loved prince and equal to his brother, who's been okay to cause all of this, but who's now sat there alone while his wife is in the Hamptons, mingling with the title she took from that throne.